Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Budgeting 101. My name is Jay Copeland, and I'll be taking you through our fourth session in the Budgeting 101 series. Today, we're talking about saving for the future. So let's get into it. All right, savings. We talked about debt last time, and savings might seem a bit out of the ballpark a lot of the times because, we're in debt. We're students and we owe a lot of money, and it seems like the very idea of saving money that we don't have as it's owed to other people is a little bit, it borders on impossible. But even though it seems challenging, especially when you're in school and spending while in debt, there are some misconceptions about what savings is that we should all be aware of when we're considering how we're proceeding financially and what we can do to better set ourselves up for a successful financial future. So, here's some things about savings and what you may not realize. Basically, many people are content with putting money in a savings account. They think that if I put my money into the bank and it's in a savings account, I'm saving it for later. Or if I withdraw a sum of cash for a rainy day, I'll have that set aside for later when I need it, kind of thing. And while this may work in terms of you've set money aside somewhere, it's not making your money work for you. We talked about that very early. I think it was in session 1, where the concept of making your money work for you. Now we're going to explore that a little more in detail. So I'm going to use accounts available through the TD Bank as an example. These may be different based on the financial institution you bank with. This is just what I'm used to dealing with as a TD Bank customer. So basically, if you're saving money in a pile of cash, let's start with cash. You just withdraw it. You've got $20 set aside, and you keep that somewhere. That money is gaining no interest. It's not appreciating in value in any way. It's just sitting there. If you're, like me, you probably have like maybe an everyday savings account where, your yearly interest rate on that $20 is sitting in your account is 0.01%. That's pretty negligible. You're basically not earning anything at that point in time. It's a little bit better than cash, but not much by any means. Now, if I look at the next level of savings account through the TD Bank, we've got the high interest savings account, which is a 0.05% interest, but only when the balance is above, for argument's sake, $5,000. So it's 5 times larger than the everyday savings account. However, I have to be maintaining a balance of over $5,000 to be getting that 5% interest. Otherwise, I'm getting none, which, unrealistic as a student. And then just for argument's sake, a TDE premium savings account gets you up to 0.1% interest, twice as much as the previous one, but only again when your balance is above $10,000. And, while that may seem like a big advantage, and it's like, oh, how do I get to that? It doesn't take into account things like the rate of inflation. So, the rate of inflation in Canada is currently 1.9%, so almost 2%. Might be a little bit different this year with the whole pandemic thing, but typically it averages somewhere around, 1.5% to 2%. What you might notice is that the rate of inflation, which is how much your money is sort of depreciating in value, because it's basically as there gets to be more money injected into the economy through inflation, the value of our money is not more. It's actually lessening because now we have more money available for roughly the same amount of value that the previous money held. So the rate of inflation far outweighs that of even the highest interest savings account. So savings is then a misnomer. You're not actually saving money. Savings alone will result in you losing money over time. So that's something you want to take into account when you're considering how much you're setting aside for a rainy day and in what ways you're setting that money aside. Because having it sitting there, again, is not making your money work for you. So if not savings, then what? Well, there's no guarantee that any one method will work for you, or anyone for that matter. Some options that you might consider speaking to a financial consultant about are as follows. Investing in the stock market is something that many people are afraid of. They think of things like the stock market crash, and how many people had lost like a ton of money through stocks that have failed, that were sort of volatile and things. But things that you might want to consider when thinking about stocks is that there's many types of stocks to invest in. Some of them are more volatile than others, which means they fluctuate more and more significantly, while others are fairly steady over time. An example of stocks that are fairly steady over time, if you look into them, are like Canadian banks, often like energy stocks, things like that, that have, we use them regularly every day. Everyone puts gas in their cars, everyone puts their money in banks. These are things that have been long-standing kind of institutions that, see a lot of regular use and aren't like, tech stocks where it's like, okay, Apple's really cool now, but it wasn't at one point in time. And what happens when something comes along to replace Apple? Well, then it goes kind of like the way of BlackBerry, where the stock drops a bunch and, you find yourself maybe in a trouble zone. So those are things worth considering looking into. Not here to give you stock advice by any means, but I am going to recommend that you look into them as an option for savings because, for instance, here, the TSX, which is the main Canadian stock exchange, the Toronto Stock Exchange, has a long-term annual return rate of 9.3% per year between the years of 1960 and 2018. So that's nearly 60 years of an average kind of annual return of 9.3%, which is way higher than the 0.01% you're likely to get in your bank accounts. Now, that doesn't mean it's always 9.3% per year. There's some years that are better than others, and some years where it is, in fact, bad. So it's something to know that, like, if your savings in this, you're probably in it for the long haul. And these are things that you're not going to be wanting to play with the stock market like you're at a casino and you're gambling. But this is money that you're investing for a long period of time, hoping for better returns than you'd normally get from your bank. Other options, if you're a little bit less confident in your ability to invest on your own, is banks will often offer you things like mutual funds, where they have a fund manager who is arguably a professional in looking at different stock options and securities that you can buy through the bank. And you're essentially entrusting your money to them to lend it towards a larger group fund's buying power to get a diverse portfolio of stocks that are going to give you better returns over time than what your savings account would normally give you. So these are, again, professionally managed funds that pool a group of people's money together to purchase sort of significant like shares and holdings in a diverse array of companies that hopefully over time is going to net you better returns than what you would get in your savings account, and arguably beat that sort of 2% inflation per year, so that you're actually saving money and potentially even earning a little bit more on top. So your money is increasing in value over time as opposed to depreciating where it would be just sitting in your savings account or in a pile of cash under your bed. Other things to consider through the bank that you might want to look into are RSPs, so registered retirement savings plans, and GICs through your bank, which are sort of more protected than, your stock options would normally be. So if, the bank for whatever reason comes in trouble, that money is somehow protected for you to use. I won't go into too much detail on that, but ultimately these plans are available to get you started on saving for a retirement or a future where, you're of an age where you no longer want to be working and would like to be free to do what you wish with your money. So it's a bit of a shorter presentation here today on that, but what I would like you to take from this session is you should go to a financial institution or talk to somebody about how to better save or invest your money so that the little bit that you sort of put aside on a regular basis is, working for you, as we say. One of the things, again, that we sort of talked about was like, okay, but where am I getting this money from? If you have money to go and have dinner out on the town in a restaurant, Maybe you have, some extras with that alongside, and you spend $20 on a leisure activity that you'd like. You can put that $20 as it is sort of a want versus a need aside into savings. You don't have to be saving like thousands of dollars at a time. You can start small, but even if you commit to a goal of setting aside, $20 every paycheck and investing that in some way, or, having that money contribute towards something that's going to be there to support you in the future, I highly recommend starting that just so you can develop the habit of saving, of setting something aside for a scenario that doesn't currently exist but will at some point in time, so that you're thinking ahead with your money and you're considering ways in which you can make that money work for you. Even if it seems like a small amount, how do you increase that money over time? Okay? Because that's the foundation of the saving strategies that you're going to build up as you go through the years, that are going to lead you to being, financially free in the future, hopefully. Okay. We'll see you for our last and final session next time. Hopefully you have success in speaking to a professional about these, different options and looking into them, and just educate yourself a little bit on what you feel comfortable with doing with the money you're able to set aside, so that you can better prepare yourself for that future that you want. All right. Until next time.